Hi guys, Dane here, and today I'm going to be doing my favourite books of Q3 of 2024, so that is July, August and September of 2024. I have 10 books, we're going to go through each of them. Any of these that I've done individual reviews of I will link to. Let's go.
Dane reads.
So in at number 10, snuck in because when I went to actually proofread my list, I realised I'd only got 9 books on here. So in at number 10 is Paula Hawkins with Blind Spot, and this is just a little thriller novella, maybe even just a short story. You know, it's not very long at all. It's one of those free reads that's designed to get people into reading. Quite a predictable contemporary thriller, but that's not to say it wasn't enjoyable. It was competently written, and again, you know what you're getting with a quick read. You read it all in one go, binge on it, nice stuff. At number 9 we have Even the Stars Look Lonesome, which is by Angelou, and it's just some more of her memoir, basically. I wonder what it... Well, I can't be asked. I was going to look up and see if there's a Wikipedia page about it that said like exactly what periods of her life that it covers. But it's a series of like autobiographical essays, basically, all brought together under this beautiful title, Even the Stars Look Lonesome. Maya Angelou, obviously a national treasure for the Americans. Very much reading no matter where you're from. Very moving book, very poignant, very well written. At number 8 we have Keep On Running by Phil Hewett. So this is non-fiction, basically about this guy. He was an arts editor at a newspaper, and at the time they were offered a free place in the London Marathon for them to write about it, and their sports editor was so unfit that they were worried that he might die if he tried to do it. So Phil Hewett decided to do the marathon instead, fell in love with running, and the rest is history. This book is basically his memoir of the various marathons he's done and the places that they've taken him. First running book I ever read, and was pretty good. Not the best one, but as you're going to see from this list, but worth reading if you're interested in running. Then we have Atom Bomb Angel by Peter James, and this is, I think, his second ever book feature, and it features his detective Max Flynn, who's very James Bond inspired. James these days is mostly known for being the writer of the Roy Grace series of crime novels, crime thrillers, police procedurals, but this was very much at the start of his career. I mean, this was written and was set in the 80s. As you guessed from the title Atom Bomb Angel, it has to do with atomic energy. It's basically about a terrorist plot to blow up a bunch of nuclear power stations, and Max Flynn, our main character, is kind of sent in to try and stop them. And yeah, it's a good old read. Now, what's interesting as well, he was part of his research for this, he like phoned up the Nuclear Energy Authority and chatted to a guy called Terry Pratchett, because Pratchett used to be their press secretary. So that was kind of interesting to know that 2 of these authors that I like both interacted in the middle of the 80s, totally randomly. But yeah, pretty good read. That's followed by Stop Them Dead by Peter James. This is one of his Roy Grace novels, and because of that, it is just more well-rounded and better written. Definite must-read series in general if you like police novels and crime thrillers and all of that stuff. James does a hell of a lot of research, and it really comes across, and the more he writes, the better he gets, which is why this, his more recent novel, ranks above Atom Bomb Angel. Just has better dialogue, better character development, and a really fascinating mystery at the heart of it. Then we have Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl. So this is basically a Holocaust survival memoir. Frankl was taken to Auschwitz, and he was also in various other concentration camps. And he was a psychotherapist. He actually is the creator of logotherapy. And this book split into 2. The first half is kind of his time in the concentration camp. The second half is him talking about his particular field of psychotherapy. But a big thing that he talks about, and that got him through and other people through the horrors of the concentration camp, is that desire to find meaning in life. Even when you are in a concentration camp, you need some sort of meaning to your life if you want to keep going. So it's a really interesting book. It's kind of a book, very much a book of 2 halves that cover 2 totally different areas, really. Very moving, but certainly a must read. And we're going to keep it equally dark and gloomy with our next book, which is Just Ignore Him by Alan Davies. So Alan Davies is a TV personality, a stand-up comedian, at least in a former life. These days he's mostly known for playing Jonathan Creek in the TV show, and for being a constant guest on the BBC panel show QI. He's a very funny guy, and I didn't know anything about him going into this book, so I just expected this to be a funny read. Turned out to be harrowing. Basically, his dad was an abusive prick, and used to molest Alan Davies when he was a kid. And this memoir is him coming to terms with that, really, including, like, even now, you know, even in his 40s and his 50s or whatever, he's still coming to terms with it. It was just a really moving, really beautifully written read. It was also very difficult to read for obvious reasons. It's one that you should read whether you're a fan of Alan Davis or not, but again, be warned, trigger warnings galore. Okay, then we have The Cousins by Karen M. McManus, and this is a standalone sort of YA thriller, I guess, from the author of One of Us is Lying and One of Us is Next. As I say, it's a standalone. It basically follows this bunch of teenagers. I think there's 3 of them, 3 teenage cousins who are all mysteriously summoned to the island that their like grandma, a strange grandmother, has a property on. And the parents all kind of encourage them to go along because they want them to go and find out why the grandma just stopped talking to them all, and you know, why they were cut out of the will basically. But there are twists and turns galore along the way, including a bit where 2 cousins hook up with each other and you're not entirely sure what to think about it until you understand why. So yes, very, very good. At number 2, we have Confessions of an Unlikely Runner by Dana L. Ayers. Now, this is the second running book that I've read. This one was super approachable because she herself would describe her as a mediocre at best runner, but she's done things like marathons, Tough Mudders, huge relay races where they're going hundreds and hundreds of miles by, you know, some of them are in a van, the rest of them are running the route. But because she is such a, you know, again, just a mediocre, she would describe herself as runner, it makes you realize that running is for everyone. You don't have to be an amazing runner to be a runner. You know, anyone can be a runner. You just have to lace up your trainers and get running. She's also quite humorous in the way that she writes it as well. So it's kind of humorous, approachable, full of good advice. But you can enjoy it even if you weren't a runner, just to enjoy the kind of weird shenanigans that she gets up to. And at number 1, we have Planet of the Apes by Pierre Boule. And yeah, this is my first Pierre Boule novel. He has quickly become a new favourite author. Well, I suppose he has. I mean, this is still the only book of his that I've read. This is sci-fi on the level of Arthur C. Clarke and Isaac Asimov, which is high praise because I'm a big fan of both of those. Basically, I think most people have some idea of what Planet of the Apes is about, but basically this spaceship of explorers sets out into deep space, goes and lands on this planet, and they learn that there are apes there and there are humans there, but they've kind of swapped roles. The apes are in charge, the humans are stupid, being hunted by the apes. And he gets captured and he has to kind of try and convince them that maybe he does have some level of intelligence, which may or may not be a good idea. This, again, I just knew the contemporary like popular culture references to this, and that was all from the movie, and the book is different to the movie enough that there were 3 or 4 different times where it took me by surprise. So yes, I would read it for sure, and watch the movie afterwards if you haven't already. And yeah, Planet of the Apes, top book of the year. Take some beating that. So there we have it. Those are my 10 books, my 10 favourite books of Q3 of 2024. As always, don't forget to let me know in the comments if you've read any of these, and if so, what you thought of them. You can find links to any individual reviews that I did. If you keep your eyes peeled, I will eventually be doing my favourite books of Q4 and my favourite books of this year as a whole. As always, don't forget to hit that like button if you've enjoyed this video. Hit that subscribe button for more, and I will see you soon for another bookish video. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.